5 a.m. The Jaguar Journal. I'm Perry White. I want to thank my man Jim Kleinfeeder coming on, giving us an update what's going on with Southern University football. And, of course, now as we move forward and switch it over to basketball, and I had to call my guy, the legend himself, Charlie Neal. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. It's always a pleasure to hear that voice right there in the morning.
All right, I hear you.
Man, how's it going, man? We're in tournament season. We're in the March Madness, and we look over in the SWAC. You've been covering the SWAC all season, where HBCU go, traveling to the different schools and checking out these programs. And now we get to the championship game today, Texas Southern versus Grambling State. Did you see this one coming when you look at Johnny Jones and Texas Southern?
I predicted that because this is a team that's been there the last couple of years. I did the game last Saturday, just before the last regular season game when they played Prairie View. They lost that game, but I knew the way they played and the way they were playing. They had a tough start to the regular season, but then going down the stretch, championship teams they lost 3 people from last year's championship team, but you have a coach who knows what it takes to get over the hump. And you had some players that were back from last year's squad. Plus, they have the Jordan Carl Nicholas. Hey, what can you say about him? So, with that being said, I'm not surprised that Texas Southern's there. I think some people may be surprised that Grambling is there. But again, Dante Jones did a fantastic job. He was named co-coach of the year in the SWAC this year, along with Landon Bussey over at Alcorn. Alcorn, of course, they came into the tournament as the number 1 seed. But tournaments are all about single elimination. And all you have to do is get ready, get right, and get up for one game and continue rolling. And it doesn't matter where you're seated. You could be number 8. And that kind of tells you what's happening now. Texas Southern came in as the number 8 seed. Grambling is the number 2 seed. Same thing happened on the women's side. Whoever thought that Jackson State would get knocked off, And they're not in the championship game today. It's Arkansas Pine Bluff, the number 7 seed, and they're playing Southern. And I was looking forward to that matchup with Arkansas Pine Bluff and Jackson State. The reason is those are the 2 biggest teams in the conference on the women's side. Arkansas Pine Bluff matches up with Jackson State better than any other team. But Southern, they seem to have their number, and they've done the job over there.
When you look at Southern on the men's side, Coach Sean Woods, of course, just a few weeks ago, they were the number 1 team in the conference.
Yeah.
And now getting eliminated by Alabama A&M and having a tough stretch in that second half of conference, man. What did you see that kind of unfolded with this team where you saw success early on and then falter on back?
It's just about, sometimes with young people, and it's not from a coaching perspective, but a lot of times young players, they get a little ahead of themselves in terms of overconfident, and they look at other teams' records and say, hey, we can just walk in here and beat them, rather than understanding that they have to go out there and play and that other teams are trying to get to where they are also. So that's what happens. Again, I use Jackson State women as an example. There's the women have won 3 straight SWAC regular season championships. Is it 3, maybe 4? It's 4. This is the 4th year, because one year they didn't go to the NCAA tournament because the tournament was canceled because of COVID. So 4 regular season championships and then back-to-back tournament. But again, it's all about what other teams are looking at, and they're going to bring their A game when you're at the top of the heap.
So I got to ask you this. I know you're covering the MEAC this weekend. What is the MEAC looking like for people who haven't been keeping up with them?
Let me tell you, it was some exciting games. Had an overtime game last night between Norfolk State and on the men's side, between Norfolk State and North Carolina Central. That one went into overtime. And good game. North Carolina Central was down, came back. Kid hit a shot at the buzzer with 1.2 seconds left to send the game into overtime. And then, of course, in the overtime, the player of the year for the second straight year, Joe Bryant, he went to work. They held him in check in terms of his shooting. field goal percentage, but I think he had something like 22 points. Like 18 of them came at the free throw line. So, when you are that type of person that you can get to the free throw line, you can get your points any way you can. I think it's going to be a great game today. It'll be Howard University, who came in as the number 1 seed. They have the coach of the year, Kenny Blakeney, and they're going against the number 3 seed, Norfolk State. North Carolina Central was the number 2 seed coming into the tournament. Maryland Eastern Shore, the number 4 seed, the top 4 seeds played. I thought Maryland Eastern Shore, in my opinion, probably had the best chance to upset some people, even though they were the 4th seed. I thought Coach Crafton has done a great job with putting that program on the map right now. They've been dormant for so long, and I just felt that they had an opportunity. But Howard took care of business yesterday. They beat them by 19 points, actually, in the semifinals. And then, of course, Norfolk State in overtime came back and beat North Carolina Central by 7 points. Now, on the ladies' side, again, you have the same 2 schools playing each other for the championship. Howard University, who's the defending champs. They're going against Norfolk State, the number 1 seed going in. Howard came in as the number 3 seed. Morgan State was the number 2 seed, but they got upset on the first day by the number 7 seed, Maryland Eastern Shore. So Howard had to knock off Maryland Eastern Shore yesterday. It wasn't easy. It wasn't, this Maryland Eastern Shore team was a very, very tough team. They came to play, and they were not going to give up. Not as big as Howard, not as talented as Howard in some areas, but they gave Howard all they could handle yesterday. So it's Howard and Norfolk State. Larry Vickers is the coach over at Norfolk State, and he's the MEAC Coach of the Year this year. So this should be a good one. So it's Norfolk and Howard. One of those teams, for both schools, one of those are going to go to the NCAA tournament. And probably, let's say this, if Howard loses on the men's side and Norfolk State wins, Howard will go get an NIT bid because they won and they go in as the number 1 seed. And possibly the same thing for the women on Norfolk State, Howard being the number 3 seed and Norfolk State number 1.
We got about a minute and a half, about 90 seconds, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Since you're not covering the SWAC this weekend, you can give me a prediction and you can give me a choice. Who you got on the women's side with UAPB versus Southern, and then I'm going to put you on the spot on the men's side of the tough game for Grambling versus Texas Southern.
Not on the spot. I like the Arkansas Pine Bluff only because of their size for the women. On the men's side, I'm going to go with the number 8 seed. I'm looking at the lower seeds coming out on top and upsetting people. I like, even though Dante Jackson has done a great job with that Grambling program, I like Johnny Jones, and I like what he's done. I may be wrong, and I probably will be, but that's my prediction. I like Texas Southern today on the men's side. I like Arkansas Pine Bluff on the women's side.
Hey, it's March Madness for a reason, Charlie. That's why they call it March Madness. You might be right today, and you never know. Because those would be 2 huge upsets in Texas Southern and UAPB both get it done, men and women. Man, of course, I want to thank you for coming on this morning, taking the time out your schedule. I hope you enjoyed that MEAC championship over there. And, man, it's been a pleasure all season listening to you and watching on HBCU Go. And thank you for all that you've done in terms of putting out there the exposure for HBCUs. What are you doing moving forward in the spring once basketball is over?
Well, I've got bowling coming up in a week or so. Then I'll be down in Houston for the Black College, the Final Four, when they do the Black College All-Star game as part of the Final Four weekend. I'll be in Houston for that. And then right after that, we've got some softball, we have some track and field outdoor, and we have some tennis. So hopefully I'll get a break here by the end of May, and I can take a break until the football will be right around the corner before you know it.
It'll be right around the corner before you know it. Charlie, thank you this morning for joining us, man. And I'll definitely be checking in with you throughout the day to see what's going on over there in the MEAC.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Appreciate you.
Have a good day. Bye now.
All right. That was my man, Charlie Neal, covering the MEAC championships today. Of course, if you've been watching HBCU Go all season, he's been covering Black college basketball around the SWAC. So I want to thank him for coming on. We've got to get ready to take a break. When we come back, we'll try to surprise you guys. See if we can get Coach Carlo Funchess, Southern University women's basketball coach, on the line and talk about last night's big victory, last second 3-pointer against Jackson State, upsetting the number 1 seed. So let's take a break and we'll come back and try to get it together. All right? Stay tuned. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Care South is now providing COVID-19 drive-through community testing at their Baton Rouge clinic. Testing is available for anyone with or without symptoms and no doctor's order required. No insurance? Care South will cover the cost. Care South is a federally qualified health center providing comprehensive medical, dental, and behavioral health services, offering telehealth services and an in-house pharmacy. Satellite clinics in Donaldsonville, Plaquemine, and Zachary. At Care South, we're here for you. Care South. Family serving families. Care South is now providing COVID-19 drive-through community testing at their Baton Rouge clinic.
Gonna jump right back to this Jaguar Journal. I'm Perry White. And of course, I had to get him on the phone after the big upset last night. And I'm thanking him for being able to take some time out of his busy schedule. But let's welcome to the Jaguar Journal, Southern University head women's basketball coach, Carlo Funchess. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Perry. Glad to be with you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. I'm on my way to come check you guys out, man. So, I'm looking forward to a big game. Hey, you guys made sports center last night. And it wasn't because of you dunking the ball like you used to back in the day. It was because you guys hit the last-second three-pointer to beat the number 1 team in the conference, the number 1 seed, Jackson State. Talk to me about that feeling and what you said to the girls to get them in that last-second dog fight against Jackson State.
Well, I don't just keep playing hard. That was the main thing. Excuse me, and try some stops. Defensively, we did a really good job down the stretch. I think we got seven stops in a row. So that's the thing that helped us knock down some shots to win the game. We just have to Aaliyah Fontenot with some big shots. She has that capability of shooting the ball from 25 to 30 feet. I call it Steph Curry range. So she did that last night. So game out.
Yeah, you look at the ball game, and I go over the stats of what you guys did against Jackson State. You shot 22 of 60 from the field, shooting 36%, 10 of 18 from the three-point line, shooting 55%, and 11 of 18 from the free throw line, shooting 61%. On the other side for Jackson State, they shot 21 of 52 from the field, shooting 40%. 3 of 9 from the three-point line, shooting 33%, and 19 of 27 from the free throw line, shooting 70%. They out-rebound you guys by 5 rebounds, 40 rebounds to 35 rebounds. When you look at Pine Bluff today, they are a big team just like Jackson State. How do you see the matchup against Pine Bluff today?
Well, I mean, they did a really good job against us getting the ball down in the post up there at Pine Bluff. So, that's one of the things we're going to have to try to negate. We can't give them easy buckets. We're probably going to have to do some double teaming and things like that. And stretch them like we did against Jackson State. Amanda McWayne knocking down some threes, so that would help us out.
This game matters. I'm from Pine Bluff, so I'm looking. That's why I'm showing up. I say, man, I can't miss a Pine Bluff Southern big game for a SWAC championship on the line. But when you see this team, a low seed, a 7th seed, is this the epitome of what you talk about in March Madness? Of course, even with you guys last night knocking off the number 1 seed, where conference tournaments give teams opportunities where you just don't give it to who you think number 1, but who earns number 1.
Well, I mean, people look at the seeding, but they have a number of Power 5 transfers in there. They have a young lady, the Davenport kid. She was like the number 4 or 5 big girl in the country coming out. And she's 6'6". She can score the ball down on the block. She went to Georgia 2 years ago, so she was there. I mean, it's no surprise to me. Without a doubt, they have one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. Without question, if you can ask any coach in the league, they would tell you the same thing. They struggle at times trying to get some chemistry, but they have an extremely good team, and they're big at every position. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup, a really tough matchup.
And then I got to go back and bring up the Prairie View game, because anybody watched that. When I saw the score at one time, I think it was like 53-16, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, is that right? But you guys really took off offensively against them. What got into you guys against Prairie View and your former coach, Sandy Pugh?
Well, we came out, Perry, and put a lot of pressure on them. They turned the basketball over. And the young ladies were locked in defensively. And that created some offense for us. So, we have to do that again tonight. We got to push up, guard them, make it a full-court game. We can't not let this game be a half-court game. If we do, we're going to be in trouble.
And what do you say to all the Jaguar fans that's out there that's listening this morning to get them to get up out their bed and get on the road and show up in Birmingham today?
Man, we need the support. That's really inspiring to the young ladies when you have some people in the stands that's cheering for you. When good things happen, when bad things happen, you still have people cheering. We had a good supporting cast last night, so hopefully we'll get a few more fans in the stands today. I know it's an early game. It's going to be hard to make the trip. Everybody can't do it like you, Perry. But we really appreciate that support if they could get out, especially the local Birmingham Southern fans.
Man, it's just called determination, man. You got to go and make your mind up and just do it. You got to come out there. And that's what you guys will be doing today. And before I get ready to let you go, when you look at film of this Pine Bluff team in the matchup, what do you see that cause problems with this Pine Bluff team?
Rebounding. They're a really good offensive rebounding team. So we're going to have to apply some pressure. Again, we cannot let it be a half-court game. And we got to rebound the basketball. We did a good job last night against Jackson, especially down the stretch, just going to get rebounds. Because, when you're facing teams that you outmatch certain positions when it comes to size, you have to box out and you have to rebound the basketball. And it's going to have to be a team effort.
How big will free throws be today for your team, especially when you're going up against a big team like that? You try to attack the basket. Maybe those big girls get you some fouls and send you to the line in terms of your free throw shooting today.
Well, that's always going to be a big factor, especially when teams are closely matched. You have to make your free throws. And to be honest with you, that's been our Achilles heel at times this year. If you look back at the games we lost, I think out at Prairie View, we were 11 for 26 one game in a three-point game. Down at Alabama State, I think we were 13 for like 29. So you have to make your free throws, and we've been doing a much better job here lately of making those.
What Coach Tamika Reed had to say to you last night as you hit that buzzer beater and shook her hand?
Nothing but respect. I mean, she does a great job. I mean, she respects Southern University. She knows how hard we work, and I know how hard she works. She has an extremely good team and a very, very well-coached team and disciplined team.
I want to say congratulations to you guys for getting that big victory. You've been all over social media, all over Sports Center, and I say it's always a great day when Southern can get that big victory over Jackson State. That just means so much more when you're able to beat Jackson. And, of course, all Southern fans will know what I'm talking about. But congratulations to you guys for making it to the SWAC championship game today. And good luck, and I'll be there cheering and being as loud and obnoxious as I can be in the stands.
I'm going to hold you to that now, Perry. Thanks for making the trip, man. We appreciate the support.
Hey, yes, sir. Appreciate you for coming on this morning.
Okay, take care. Have a safe trip.
All right. That was my man Carlo Funchess coming on, talking to us about Southern University's women's basketball getting a big victory last night, 65-64 over Jackson State. Jackson State, of course, 21-9 on the season. They were the SWAC regular season champions on the women's side, number one seed coming into this tournament. And you look at 4 consecutive regular season championships, going for their 4th consecutive tournament championship. And Southern said, no, not so fast, my friend, last night. In a last-second 3 as time was expiring to get a 65-64 victory. 17-14 is Southern's overall record on the season. Of course, Chris, I know you're listening somewhere. I had to talk to Coach about free throws. Of course, Southern last night, 11 of 18 from the free throw line, shooting 61%. Free throws matter, especially when you're playing against bigger teams like a Jackson State and a big team like Palm Bluff. Palm Bluff does match up well against Jackson State when you look at the bigs that they have, and they are the 2 biggest teams in the conference. And Southern being more small guard play, it's going to be interesting how they'll be able to attack those bigs. And like he said, rebound to be the key. Southern got out rebound last night, but not by much. Only 35 rebounds to Jackson State's 40. Southern was able to get 23 defensive rebounds and 12 on the offensive side. Jackson State, 28 defensive rebounds. Jackson State with 12 offensive rebounds as well. So this would be an interesting matchup. Southern versus UAPB today. Anybody know I love this matchup, and this should be an interesting one, as Coach Thornton has done a great job getting her 7th seed Golden Lions into the SWAC championship game for the first time since UAPB has joined the SWAC back in the 90s. This is the first time UAPB will be playing for a women's basketball championship, and it's against the Jaguars of Southern University, Coach Carlo Funchess. So this is going to be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to the game. Is at 1 o'clock today. Will be broadcast live, ESPN+. So if anybody's not able to make it to the game, of course, we need you at the game to support. If I said you're within 2 hours of Birmingham, you need to be there today if you're a Jaguar or a Golden Lion fan. But just in case, if you're not, this game will be nationally televised, ESPN+. So make sure you have that ESPN package. You can be able to check out this game, 1 o'clock tip-off. I think it'll be a great one when you look at these 2 teams. When you look at the matchups, you look at the body of work of what Coach Thornton has done, and you look at the body of work of what Coach Carlos Funchess has done in order to get his team prepared for a championship. I talked to him earlier today. He said he's been hours and hours into film, and I had to break him away from film just a little bit so he can talk to you guys. But, this should be a great matchup. I'm looking forward to it. And what we're going to do, we're going to get ready to take a break. But when we come back on the other side, we're going to get my man Chris Robertson, the athletic director at UAPB, to come on. Of course, he's an Alabama native down from Pritchard, Alabama, down in that Mobile area. But to come on and talk about Coach Thornton, the body of work she's done, and the opportunity for UAPB's women's basketball team to play in their first ever SWAC championship basketball game on the women's side, which that is big when you look at this program and what they've been able to accomplish. I can remember the days of UAPB basketball not being good at all. So for them to make it to a championship, that says a lot in terms of the body of work of what Coach Thornton has been able to do, getting those transfers and the transfer portal, what we're starting to see working big for a school like Palm Bluff, getting the 7th seed into the championship and upsetting some teams along the way. So let's take a break, try to get in touch with Chris Robertson and get him on and talk about some Palm Bluff things and what's going on up there and how they're working, getting ready for this championship today. So y'all stay with me, all right? We'll be right back. Stay tuned more to Jaguar Journal.
Innovators, game changers, trailblazers. The Southern University Law Center.
Jaguar, 8:30 a.m. And of course, we're not talking about it all day. When I see Southern University and UAPB in a championship or any time that they play, I always got to reach out to my man who's the athletic director. And of course, he's no stranger to the show. My man, Chris Robertson, athletic director at UAPB. Good morning, Chris.
Hey, good morning, Perry. Good morning to Perry's fan club.
Product of Pritchard, Alabama. They make sure to let you know it ain't Mobile in that area. It's Pritchard, Alabama. So I'm going to put some respect on that this morning.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Perry.
All right, you guys are playing in your first ever SWAC championship on the women's side, man. Talk about what that means. And more importantly, talk to us about Coach Thornton and what she's building at Pine Bluff, getting you guys in your first ever SWAC women's basketball championship.
So, Perry, just from a historic perspective, man, we're extremely excited to be in this position this morning. And I appreciate, again, the platform to discuss this. And there's so many storylines that come around this. We were, when we first entered the SWAC back in the late 30s, 37, 38, in that time frame. And then we, departed the SWAC conference in the 70s. early 70s. We left the SWAC conference, and our women's basketball team during that time was in went to an all Arkansas conference. It's called the Arkansas Women's Intercollegiate Sports Association. And we were able to go to the championship during that time. I think in 78, 79, Miss Murphy, and my SWA was on that team, Miss Betty Anthony, and a few others. They went to the championship during that time. They're a very good team. Did some great things. And we re-entered the SWAC back in 1997. We returned home, to get back and compete within the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Since that time, we have not had the opportunity to compete for a SWAC championship, which is, to grasp it, I'm still trying to put my head around it. To come from where we come from to get to this point, I am just so extremely excited. I'm extremely excited about our coach, the Diva coach, Coach Don Thornton, who's actually won a championship at Prairie View, as an assistant and as a head. And she has been very diligent in putting together a team to compete within our conference and to compete for a SWAC championship within our conference. I know coming in, she's a heck of a recruiter. She's one of the best recruiters I've ever seen in the game and in all sports. And I've been around sports, and she does a dynamic job in terms of recruiting and helping to sell the university. And she was able to put a group together that's dynamic in a lot of ways, and without one of her biggest major pieces. Of course, Zay Green, who was the SWAC Player of the Year last year, and one person that everybody was looking at the next person to be drafted by the WNBA, but she was not able to play this year at all. So in spite of all that, we've been able to make it to this point to get back to the SWAC championship. Again, that goes to the credit of Coach Thornton and her ability to put these pieces together, and they're gelling at the right time. Maya Pete had an amazing game. Of course, Davenport's back at home. Body's back at home in Alabama. And then Karai Beck, that's a storyline in itself. Of course, her father played for the Rockstar Razorbacks, won a national championship, and now she's here at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. They get the opportunity to win the SWAC championship here at UAPB. So there are a lot of storylines, Perry, that we're extremely excited about.
It's interesting because when I saw you guys play for the first time this year, it was against the University of Arkansas. You mentioned the Razorbacks. You guys hosted them in Pine Bluff. And that game did not go like I thought a lot of people thought it was. Pine Bluff, the women's basketball team played them tough all the way to the end. And when I saw that game, at that point, I said, man, I know this team could possibly be a threat as the season went on. And that's exactly what happened. You guys became a threat. Even as a 7th seed, that meant nothing. Now you guys in the championship game. But that game against Arkansas, when you hosted them up at the H.O. Clemens Arena, man, I knew right there looking at this team, the size and what you guys had in terms of talent, that you guys could possibly get this far.
And Perry, I'll say this too, not to be, leaning on arrogance or anything like that, but we were we were excited about how we played, but we thought we'd do better. And again, we did not have our pieces, and we were still trying to find our identity with one of our key players not being there, in Zay Green. But we thought we competed a little bit better. I know the coach from the Razorbacks, he gave a lot of kudos for the team. Girls were pretty excited, but there were some things we needed to work on, and working through that first semester. We learned each other, learned more about each other. And again, with Coach's leadership, I say with her assistant coaches, she got Coach Nate Bell, Coach Mealing, Coach Brown. They do a great job in terms of working together for one common purpose. And I really got to give them kudos for sticking to it and getting the girls to gel together and believe in each other and believe in what coaches is even a plan that's being set.
Now, how do you feel about this game? Of course, I'm always going to put you on the spot. You came to Southern for a short time, but you were in Pine Bluff as well. You're something similar like me. We got ties to both schools, but do you ever have a little love for the Jaguars in your heart, ever?
Well, I have a lot of respect for a lot of respect for A.D. Banks, who's helped me in this game. Being a young athletic director, he's provided a lot of guidance in a lot of ways, and I have a lot of respect for him and his staff and the job he's doing to consistently be out here competing. Of course, Lacumba's right there, close to home. I was at another game the other day, and some young person said, "Is that Lacumba?" I said, "No, that's not Lacumba. That's another school right there." But of course, I had a lot of friends that attended Southern University, and again, it's a special place for me as well. I would say I got to give them kudos. I have to give them kudos for what they took down a juggernaut last night. That was a very exciting game. The young ladies did not quit. All the way to the end, they fought. Even when you get down to less than a minute, a lot of times your mindset changes and all that, but they would not. They would not. I mean, it was down. They drove the length of the floor and made an amazing shot to win the game. And you love that resiliency. It's just like life. They fought through it. They fought through it together. And again, just like we're going up to this game right now, we have University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. He came in as the 7th seed, and you have Southern University came in as the 4th seed. Neither one of us got a lot of accolades coming in, and but yet we still believed, and we worked together, and we gelled together at this time of the year. So I have a lot of respect for Southern University women's basketball program and what they're doing, what they put together, and their resiliency to keep fighting regardless of what the naysayers say. Again, they didn't receive a lot of accolades, but yet they believed in each other and they fought through, and that's why we're having this conversation today.
What has the response been from your fan base in order to support this team today in the SWAC championship? Have you sensed the excitement of people buying into the women's basketball team and what Coach Thornton has built, and as well as playing for that championship today?
Perry, I want to make sure I got my get my facts right, but I think we're number 2 in terms of attendance in the conference. I think it's second to Southern University.
Good to be in that number 1 spot, huh? It's good to be in that number 1 spot.
Well, I think y'all went to number 1 when they found out Pine Bluff was coming to town. That's what happened. But no, actually, this year was an amazing year in terms of our attendance at our basketball games, the buy-in in terms of supporting the basketball team, and the women in particular. That's one thing we all struggle with. I saw Coach Yo at Ole Miss. She talked about when she first took the job, she only had 500 people at her game, but then she played South Carolina and it was packed out. And, that's something across the board. And we noticed this year, there were some games when we had the student section was full, a student at the women's game. And we saw that a few times. And a lot of people come to see the women play over the last couple of years. So there's been some buy-in. Again, that's our diva and Coach Thornton. In terms of, she does a very good job in building relations with the community, building with the student body, and engaging people. She's a social media star. I think she's blue chip verified, but she does a lot to engage others to get them engaged into what she's doing. So the support has been amazing across the board, and we're hoping to see some of that today.
I'm headed to Birmingham, man. I got a Southern shirt for you just in case at the end of the game you need something to wear up out that arena, man. So I got something for you just in case, all right?
And I got a rally towel and a shirt for you.
I'll make sure I give it to my mom. You ain't gonna be on. I give it to her.
Okay.
But man, of course, I'm looking forward to today's matchup. I could not miss a Southern versus UAPB when you talk about a championship on the line, man. And I think that's exciting, especially like you said before, where most of the times people buy into just the top seeded teams. But when you got a 4 seed versus 7 seed, that shows that any given day anybody can go down. And that's what you've seen in this SWAC tournament, man. So congratulations to you guys for making it to the championship against Southern. And I'm torn, but of course, I'm going to roll with the nope. See, I almost said the Golden Lions. I'm just my mom there. But I'm going to roll with the Jaguars. That's my mama. She's somewhere right now saying, why is he talking about that?
Hey,
yeah.
You raised right, Barry.
But see, I appreciate you for coming on this morning, man, and I look forward to seeing you in Birmingham. I'm going to have to get you up with Kendrick Taylor, Director of Bands at Southern University. Both you guys are Pritchard, Alabama natives.
Yes, sir. Pritchard, Alabama, Manatee Blunt High School. You know it, Kendrick. I said hello, man.
Oh, man, and shout out, I got to say, she talking about Maddie T. How about them Pine Bluff High Zebras getting that 14th state championship
you know what?
this week, baby?
That's what I'm talking about. City of Champions, boy. I'm telling you, the history of the city of Pine Bluff, I Hey, we got enough. We got enough to give out. Give out a few. We got enough to give out a few. But no. But congratulations to those Zebras. The kids are amazing. They're working together. They're gelling together. Not only in basketball, but in football as well. It's something special. It's back on the rise. Of course, when you grew up, you saw it. When I was there as a collegiate athlete, even before my time and after, Pine Bluff is special. It is special. So you can't sleep on that. It is a special place.
I try to tell everybody, man. So, Chris, thank you for coming on this morning, man. I'll see you in a few hours.
All right. Be safe. Look forward to seeing you.
All right.
Go live.
All right. That was my man, Chris Robertson, athletic director at UAPB. Let's get ready to take the break. We're going to come back. Get ready to close this thing out. All right? So stay tuned more to Jaguar Journal.
Honesty, integrity,
It's 8:49 a.m. We've been rolling right along. Want to thank Chris Robertson coming on, athletic director at UAPB, as well as Carlo, the head basketball coach at Southern University women's team, and my man Charlie Neal coming on at the top of the hour to talk about HBCU basketball, both on the SWAC and the MEAC side, and as well as Jim Kleinpeter, the advocate, giving us an update on football. Try to get Coach Eric Dooley on next week to give us a little bit more insight in terms of the hires and what's going on within the program. But let's go to the phone line. He said we got Chris, my man Chris, on the line. Good morning, Chris.
How you doing this morning, Perry?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Good, yeah. Be careful on that road. Look, I was calling because, like I said, you kind of beat me to it, which I knew you was going to mention it. But I was talking to my niece yesterday, a 1976 alumnus of Pine Bluff High, and she told me the Zebras won it all. And so I told her, I got to tell my man Perry bring it up because I knew you was gonna probably bring it up on the show. So she was pretty pumped about it and everything. She lives in Russellville now, so but she was pretty pumped about it and everything like that. And so hey man, hats off to the 6A state champs. That's really amazing. It's really amazing.
Number 14, Chris, number 14 in basketball. Ain't many can say they got 14, 24 in football and 10 in baseball.
Good night above. I didn't really realize it was that big of a dynasty. But look,
dynasty.
Mm-hmm. But look, I when I didn't hear Flood on this morning, and I know he's a busy man and all, but I couldn't help but wonder about what happened last week when he said that that for the best thing for the conference is that Jackson go. And that last thing you said was, forget what Flood saying, go Lady Jaguar.
I'm glad somebody was listening to me, right? I'm glad somebody. I didn't want to bring that up today because then they'd be called tooting your own horn. But thank you, Chris. Somebody was listening.
So I figured Flood must didn't come on this morning because, and hey, if those kind of predictions of fire the Lady Jags up, hey man, I'm all for it because I mean, I'm like you, Perry. I don't care nothing about what the conference of represent us. Beat them Jackson State Tigers. I don't care what it is. I don't care if we get our brains blown out in the next game. That's all right. The Lady Jaguars got a shot, so that's all you can hope for. I know people will be long. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Go ahead.
Look, I just want to say I think the Sean Woods experiment has been tried, has been tested, and is found lacking. It's been weighed in the balances of the scales and is not weighing out right. So don't think it's going to be no hard decision. Probably the hardest decision is who do you bring in? If you coach Banks, who do you bring in? A lot of young coaches.
Can I get you on with
here.
this one, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Can I get you on with this one? So I put it out there last night, and a lot of people may think I'm crazy for this, but what would you think about a Mike Anderson who was fired from St. John's last night because St. John wants to try to pursue Rick Pitino? But Mike Anderson, of course, former guy under Nolan Richardson. He coached at Arkansas, coached at UAB, coached at St. John. He's a guy, only one of 3 coaches in Division I basketball that has never had a losing season within 15 years. 2 Sweet 16 appearances, 1 Elite 8 appearance. He's a guy that I think that if you ask me, because I like to shoot for the stars, I at least talk and say, hey, what can we do or what is it something that we can do? But that's just my thought process when I look at a program like Southern.
Well, the thing of it is when you talk about Mike Anderson, I remember when he was there when they won the NIT at Tulsa with Coach Richardson, Nolan Richardson. But like the thing of it is I don't know if he's ever even coached at HBCU, so that might be something he might be looking forward to this late in his career. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing, Perry. But I do know that the Sean Wood experiment is definitely over. We're never going to have anything. The best team we had, best chances we had, got wiped out by COVID in 2020. And so I don't see any sense in bringing Coach Sean Woods back. Nothing against him. He's just not able to relate to the guys. Like you said earlier in the show, Perry, we had talent. But for whatever reason, he's just not getting over to the guy to sustain them for a whole season. And a lot of these games, Perry, he was out-coached. He was out-coached. And so,
how tough was it watching that Alabama A&M game? Of course, the team that you lost to twice. You should be able to watch them have a game plan that third time's a charm, as they say. But how tough was it for you quickly watching that game? Because I know it was tough for me.
Well, the thing of it wasn't tough for me, Perry, because I already knew what was going to happen. I told my coworker, I said, we lost 3 times to Grambling. We're going to lose 3 times to A&M. We can't beat a team on our home court, and then you're going to have to face them just like Grambling, face them again the very next time. And the same scenario played out this year with A&M like it did with Grambling. Grambling beat us in the tournament, then get their brains kicked in by Texas Southern. Alabama A&M beat us in the tournament, get their brains kicked in by Texas Southern. And it's just like you said, in both cases, neither one of the teams were that great to the point to where they beat us like they did.
And they, like you said, they got exposed by Texas Southern. And I reflect all that back up on coaching. You have to, at some point, make an adjustment. You know, you and Reggie talk about we live by the three, die by the three. At some point, you got to understand that that's not going to be sustainable. I got to come up with something. I got to do I got to get some kind of inside presence. I got to do something. That's what coaches do. For guys like me and you, yeah, okay, well, I ain't got to play. But coaches make adjustments, and we just continue to fade every year. And so the Sean Woods experiment is over. The only reason why I believe he's still there is because COVID hit, and they got the extra year and what have you. But I'm looking forward and curious about who our next hire is going to be. Coach Banks needs to hit a big one with this one. He really does.
I'm right there with you. I'm throwing out there the Mike Anderson name, so if anybody listening, that's who I'm hoping we can maybe lure down to the blow. But, Chris, thank you for coming on, man. And, of course, always, man, I enjoy the fact of being our number one supporter, and thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you, Perry. Have a safe trip.
All right. Thank you. All right, everybody. We have reached the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank for everybody that's listening to us live on 107.3 FM back in Baton Rouge, and as well as everybody that's following us on YouTube. Be sure to go subscribe to the Jaguar Journal YouTube channel. If you're not able to catch us live on the radio on 107.3, you can always go back and catch the show rebroadcast on there and listen to as many other shows from the previous weeks as possible. And as well as hit that subscribe button on there. We love your support on there. So I think my man Mike told me I'm up against the time. So we'll be back next week at the same time in the same place. As always, it's the Jaguar Journal.